Hello, everyone. How are you? Welcome to Scholars in Medical Innovation. And today we have a special guest, Fabio Moraes. He was with us in the past edition of the program. Thank you very much, Fabio, for being here. Fabio is professor and radiologist at Queen's University, Canada. Just a moment, I am with double audio. I'm sorry, it happened yesterday. It appears another table here for me. Okay, now it's great. So I'm sorry. Fabio is professor and radiologist at Queen's University and is also from the Board of Innovation and Leadership. Welcome, Fabio.
Hello, everyone, and thanks, Tiago, for the introduction. It's my pleasure to be here with you guys tonight. It will be my pleasure to be presenting and discussing some topics around pitch deck and how to prepare a good pitch deck presentation. So without further ado, for those who does not know me very well, so I'm assistant professor in the Department of Oncology, Division of Radiation Oncology. I'm also advisory of at least like 2 companies in Brazil and another companies here in Canada. And also I have my own company. So it's my pleasure to start. I'm going to start by sharing my screen so we can start this presentation. And I'll be happy to address questions and to open the floor for discussion after. So people or everyone in this call, don't be shy and bring your best questions. I'll do my best to address them. So hope you guys are able to see my full screen. Is that correct?
I can see you.
Perfect.
That's perfect.
Okay, so first of all, I don't have any conflicts of interest with this presentation. So let's start. So we are going to talk tonight about pitch deck. So pitch deck is a brief overview or a presentation that you're going to provide about your business to investors or even for people who are interested in your startup or in your business. You should focus on showcasing your product, your business model, your monetization strategy, and your team. So building a pitch deck is an art, and presenting is an even more complex art. So you guys need to learn and to understand and to train ahead doing a big presentation. A pitch deck is an essential fundraising tool. So it doesn't matter how big your company is, you need to have a very good pitch deck, and you need to have pitch decks for different stakeholders. Doesn't matter if you're looking to raise $5,000, $50,000, or $50 million, pitch deck is gonna be the way to go. Usually the pitch decks are short, and then we are gonna be talking something around less than 10 slides or very short presentations. And a great pitch deck gets to the heart of your potential investors, because you get them to be excited about your idea, your engagement, and also about your business plan and your strategy. So what I'm going to be doing here, I'm going to be presenting like around the lines of the knowledge that I have gained from listening hundreds, maybe like thousands of pitch presentations that I saw in the last couple of like 3 years, in addition to some elevator presentation or elevator speech that I have listened through my career. So if you've never done a pitch deck before or never present a pitch deck before, this can be incredibly scary. So don't be afraid of don't be afraid of being on that spot. It's scary for everyone. So I want to focus in helping you guys to get the best presentation possible. So what is the goal when you are doing and presenting a pitch deck? So I think majority of people think that the goals of a pitch deck is to raise money. It's not. So the goal of a pitch deck is to get you to the next meeting. So actually it's to get your investor attention, so to get some traction, so they're going to invite you for a next meeting. So they're going to open a door for you. So forget about the idea that you're going to get some money or a check on a pitch deck presentation. Actually, it's not going to happen. It's just going to open your door for your next presentation. So you want to present your idea, you want to present your solution, but you also want to have your investors excited and curious about learning more what you have, so they'll open the door for the next presentation. And what you should include in your pitch deck. So here I'm gonna bring point by point what I think is key and what I value the most when I'm looking or reviewing a pitch deck. So first thing that I like to highlight is that you need to start with your vision and your value proposition. So this is a quick one sentence overview of your business and the value that will provide to your customers. You need to keep it simple and short. So the best way of thinking about the vision and value proposition, it's about thinking that you're writing a short tweet on Twitter. So you need to be able to describe your business in 140 characters or less, and you should be able to present your vision in a way that your parents will be able to understand, a kid with like 5 years old will be able to understand, or a very knowledgeable investor in the field will be able to understand. So the next point is bringing your problem, okay? So you're gonna use this slide to talk about the problem you're solving and how you can solve that problem. You can talk about current solutions in the market, but don't spend a lot of time there. Don't spend a lot of time discussing the competition at this point. You're gonna have a moment to do that in the future. So the key point here is that you bring the problem to the real world. So the more real, the better. So the investors, they will understand your business and your goals. So again, it's important that your problem is a real issue in the world, because if it's not, you're gonna have a long uphill to climb with your business. So it needs to be a real problem, and you need to present that, especially on a storytelling way. So you're gonna be able to engage people better if you bring to their attention that this is a real world problem, that this might be happening on their family or on their environment or on their actually on their own business. So make sure that you tell like a good story. The second slide, you're gonna talk about target market and opportunity. So if you can find data, so investors will want to know how much people, business currently spend in the market to get sense of your total market size. And as much data as you can, you should present here. So investors will thank you if you bring like data that will support their decision. They will thank you if you are actually able to define your market size and the position of your company. And they will also appreciate if you have a very specific and reachable market. What I feel, what I learned in the past is that sometimes a lot of people, when they are doing their pitch deck presentation, they are trying to tell the investors that they're going to be able to sell their product to like many billions of people, which in fact is not real, is not like feasible. So it's better for you to have like a very specific, strong and reachable market, saying that like we have this market is 100,000 people market, but it's actually accurate and you will be able to target that market. Then say, oh, this is a global product. We are aiming for like 2 billion people to be buying our product. They know it's not going to happen. So try to be like clear and objective here. I know everybody's like, oh my God, but like I want to talk about my solution. Because when you have a startup or a new business, you're like in love with your solution. So you want to start like talking about your solution. And that's a big mistake. You're only going to talk about your solution on slide 4 or 5 after you already set up the ground. So your vision, the problems, your market, the opportunities. Now it's the time to talk about your solution. So now is the time that you're going to describe your product, your service. You're going to describe how customers use your product and how it will address problems that you have outlined before. I know, as I said, you guys will be tempted to move this closer to the beginning of the pitch, but try to resist that temptation. This is classic when we are talking about storytelling. So you build the momentum to bring the solution, which is the most expected time of your presentation. So here you're gonna start defining your solution because the investor or the audience are already very engaged with you. So for describing your solution, the better way to describe it, it's using pictures or stories. So as I said, you need to bring like real world evidence that your solution is needed, and it's a strong innovation for that field. And for you guys to learn is that showing it's always better than telling. So if you have images, if you have videos, if you have ways to illustrate your solution, it's much better than having bullets and like letters trying to explain what you're gonna do. After that, after present your solution, now it's the time for you to describe your revenue model or your business model. So here you're gonna talk on what do you charge and who pays the bill. So there's different business model. For some business model, advertisement pays the bill instead of the users. Others, you have users paying the bills. Others, you don't pay anything, but you're gonna sell another product in the end of the line. So you need to define like you're gonna be a premium service, a high price offering service, a budget offering services. What are you planning as your business model, and how do you think that's the best option for your company or for your startup? The next slide is about the validation and the roadmap. So here you're gonna talk about what are the major goals have you achieved so far, if you already have an MVP or if you've been in the market for like a couple of years, and what are the major next steps or plan that you are taking. So the roadmap will outline key milestones that you're planning that you're going to be achieving in the next couple of months to years. For having a good validation and roadmap, you don't need to have a revenue yet. You don't need to have an MVP running, but you need to have a vision to understand where you want to be, and when you want to be there. Next step is about discussing marketing and sales strategies. So it's easy to say that, okay, I'm going to bring my product to elderly patients that needs access to surgery. Okay, but how are you planning on getting these customers' attention? How you're going to reach them? How you're going to show your product to them? How they are going to engage with you? So you need to try to give like a detailed tactics plan for the investor, so they understand that this is possible, and they understand that you're going to be able to prospect customers in the future. For some people, they might think that the biggest problem when you're starting a startup is finding a good solution, but actually finding and winning customers is the biggest challenge for a startup. So it's important that it's important to show that you have a solid plan and that you reach that market, and that you're gonna make that in an organized and disciplined way. Now it's time for you to talk about your team. So it's important for you to show your team and who is working with you. Even if you don't have a complete team yet, identify the key positions that you still need to fill and why these positions are critical to your company to grow. That tells to investors that you have actually spent some time understanding your company, understanding the problems, and understanding like what are the key members that you still need to recruit. So make sure that you have a team that have experience that are going to be complementary to each other, and actually that you have a right team to build and to grow that company. So the next slide is about financials. So if you already have an MVP, if you already, if you are in the market for a couple of months or years, investors will expect to see numbers, to see your finances. So limit yourself to show that data on charts, total customers, total expenses, and profits, and be careful on your projections. So be careful with what we call the hockey stick projections. I'm gonna tell you guys what it is, a hockey stick projections on the next slide, because all the investors, they are used to see these hockey stick projections, and they usually mentally will cut that by half or by 70% when you show them this graph. So when you're presenting your idea, you're gonna show, oh, this is like until today, like history, until today, this is our profits, but then like now we have like a new Instagram account, we hired like a new influencer, and then we see that like in 3 months, like our profit will be like up to here. So you're telling them that there's a magic happening here that never happened before, and then your profit is gonna like increasing 20 times or 10 times. As soon as they see like a hockey stick like that, they're gonna look and say, okay, maybe what they are telling that is gonna happen in 5 years is this, like 30% of what they are projecting, or in the best scenario, like 50%. They'll never, it's gonna look bad on you if you just project like a 20-fold increase of something that never happened. Now you have some time to discuss competition. So describe how you fit into the competition landscape and how you are different from the competitors, and what are the alternatives in the market. So remember to focus on your solution, on your business, and not focus too much on what the others do bad or on what the others are missing. You need to make sure that the investors understand that you are doing something different, you are doing something better compared to the competition. This is not a moment that you are there to shame the competition or destroy the competition. You want to make sure that they understand that you know the market, you know the competition, and you are doing something better. This is one of the slides that I always feel that people miss and they don't do. So actually you're pitching your idea, but you're not asking like what you need. So you need investment, you need people, you need money. And then if you need money, why you need the money? If you need people, why you need the people? So you need to be able to explain why you are asking for that amount of money, and how do you plan to use that money? Because investors, they want to know their money is being used and how the money is gonna be used. So if you already have some investors on the board, now it's the time for you also to say that, oh, we already received $5,000, $10,000, $50,000 in the past, and we applied to develop a new version of our software, or we hired a developer, or we hired an expert on digital marketing. So actually investors want to know that you understand that the money or talents are important and how you're going to use that in your company. I always keep some extra slides just in case I have more time and just in case they ask. So I suggest you having these 4 extra slides. One is the exit strategy. So a slide explain to the investors how the cap table of the company will change after the investment, how you can make changes in the future if more investment comes. So how is the exit strategy if a new investors get in or out? So if you get more money. Partnerships. So actually sometimes you have a company that says that they produce like a new cell phone, but they have a key partnership with a small company in China that produce the microchip. You need to let the investor know, because they need to understand that you rely in another partner to make your product available. So here is a time for you to tell them about the partnership. If you work with another company with developers and they are your partners, they need to know you have partners for that. I also have some demos or in screenshots about my product and about how it works. And in the end, I have actually some other documentation that like I found useful to present the market better or to present my solution better. And as soon as you have all your slide deck ready, so here's are some tips for you presented in a successful way. So first, keep it simple. Second, skip bullets. Third, tell a history. Fourth, keep your presentation short and don't overstate the market opportunity. I think this is one of the biggest mistakes that people do. They try to overstate the market size and opportunity, but most of the time, these angel investors or the VC companies, they have people on that field, they have expertise, and they will know if that is real or not. So you need to make sure that your presentation is accurate. Another key points are to know what you're asking. So actually ask for money, how much money you need, and how you're going to apply that money. Always keep your deck, pitch deck up to date. You never know when you're going to find someone and that person is going to say, okay, I'm interested in your idea. Can you send me your pitch deck? The worst thing that you want to do is say, oh, yeah, I'm going to work on it. I'll send you in 2 weeks. By the time that you send that deck to that person, you might have already lost an opportunity or lost the opportunity to get investment or traction. I always like to send my the deck as a PDF file before the meetings, just in case you have problems with the presentation, just in case you want to give time for your investor to read your idea before the meeting so they are more prepared, they feel more comfortable with your solution. So do that way. And make sure that your slide deck stands alone without your presentation. So your deck needs to stand alone without you being there to present. Why is that? Because a lot of the times you might present for an investor. He might not be the best person to invest in your company, but he might know someone who has expertise in like that area, and he can forward your deck. If your deck does not stand alone, that person is not going to understand what you're trying to sell or what is your solution. So then you might lose an opportunity there. So your deck needs to be self-explanatory. And in the end of the day, as I said, like great pitches are really just great stories. So start your story, build your solution, build your team, and make sure to enjoy the process. Thank you. It was a pleasure to present this, how to work in your pitch deck. I'm happy to start discussing or answering some questions.
Well, Fabio, thank you very much. It was perfect and very clear, your presentation. Fabio, I have some questions and comments here for you. For example, we are used for the research language. We know how to do posts, we know how to do presentations for another audience, but now we wanna speak the market language. And sometimes we are speaking with people that does not understand about the technology or does not understand about the pathology. What would you say? What are the differences? How can you bring the attention from the audience? You said, of course, with storytelling, but how can you motivate your evaluators to pay attention to what you are saying? Sometimes you have 5 minutes, 3 minutes for that. How you do that?
So like what I saw in the past, and that worked with me when I'm listening to a pitch that there's nothing to do with medicine. So maybe it's something about like a new kind of like flow or a new kind of like technology with robots. It's actually storytelling. So bringing the problem and the solution to a real world problem. So trying to explain on a daily experience. So that's the best way, saying like, oh, I have a cousin and my cousin has this kind of problem. And then we develop that solution that will help him to do this and that. And then part of this technology is using this special microchip that we developed, these special components that putting all together brought us to this solution. I'm happy to share more information, more technical information after this call if you guys need. And then you have extra documents to share with the team, but don't waste too much time because, as I said, this 5 minutes or 10 minutes presentation is to open door for the next and longer presentation. And most of the time on the second presentation, you have like half an hour to 1 hour to present. So then you're going to elaborate, you're going to bring like in-depth information, you're going to help people to understand the problem in a scientific way, but it's not on the 5 minutes. On the 5 minutes, you need to present a solution that your grandmother can understand, a 5-year-old kid can understand, and the investor can understand. So it needs to be very simple, straightforward, and needs to correlate with a real world activity.
Oh, thank you, Fabio. I understood you. Like you need to be like in the baseline. You need to use soft skills, emotions to communicate yourself. Sometimes it's a little bit different what we do in academy.
Yeah,
great. I have another question for you, Fabio. Sometimes it's easier for us to sell something that someone wants to buy. So I believe to understand the markets and to make surveys and questions to the markets should be very important for you to get some numbers, some expectations, and then you know all the stakeholders, and you can present that to your audience. And what do you think, Fabio, about your audience? Do you do some different pitches for different evaluators, if they are investors, if they are managers or other categories?
Yeah, so that's very important. So first, you need to understand the market. So a homework of any like new founder or new business person is to understand the market. So first you understand the market, and then you go to the field and start doing surveys, trying to understand if what do you think is the problem is a real problem. So you need to make sure you understand that, and you address that market in the best way possible. That's number one, and that's key. And when you're preparing a pitch deck, of course, like you're always gonna tweak your pitch deck depending on the population that you're presenting. So, for instance, I'm doing lately a lot of it's not pitch deck, but I'm presenting my research for funding. So to fundraise money for my research. So actually, 2 weeks ago, I presented to a scientific board of a university. It was a great presentation. Next week, I'm presenting for a group of elderly women that they have nothing to do with science. They have nothing to do with medicine, but they have money and they like to invest in things that they believe it's going to change healthcare, it's going to change the future of human beings. And it's a totally different presentation. I cannot present the same level of depth or the same level of information for group 1 and group 2. So you always need to tweak and make sure that you deliver the best information for the public that you are speaking with.
Yeah, and Fabio, and Domingos was saying your presentation was very clear, a very well presentation, and he has a correlated question here because he says that he has difficulties in pricing his solution. And maybe you can use this strategy. For example, you can go to the markets and ask for people who use that product, how much would you pay for that? Is that okay for you? What do you think about that, Fabio? How to price your product?
Pricing you're gonna miss. So you're not gonna get the right price on the first product that you make it available for the public. Number one, you need to do a lot of surveys and understand what is your public willing to pay for the service that you're willing to provide. Number two, you need to review in depth your successful competition. So what they are doing, how much they are charging, and what kind of revenue they are bringing in. I think that's these are two key factors. And the third thing, you need to go to the field as soon as possible and start small. So do small MVPs. You can overcharge or undercharge. You're going to understand that very quickly. And then for the second turnover, you can adjust your price. You do it again, adjust your price. Sometimes it takes like more than a year for you to adjust and make sure that you have like a real good like price for your product. But you need to see on the long run. So like you want your business to be healthy for 5, 10, 20 years. So it doesn't really matter that you're going to spend like 6 months to 1 year figuring out your best bet or the best value for your product.
Great, Fabio. And you said something very interesting. Of course, you can pivot every time. And we learn a lot with our failures.
Yeah.
Of course, in healthcare, you cannot fail with the patient, with the treatment. But I believe we have a lot of space to fail and to correct it and to do it again, right?
Yeah. And actually, for instance, like this year, for the first time, I launched a mentorship program, career mentorship program. And then we launched it in a high price. I thought like, oh, this is going to be a high price. And then we had like only 20 spots because it's an MVP. I want to see like how people are going to actually join us. And if the price is correct. So in 24 hours, we had like more than 37 people already subscribed and willing to pay the full price. So I said, okay, so the price is fair. Potentially we can actually increase the price for next time because we have more demand than actually what we can deliver. So you never know. You need to test the market and see what they're willing to do.
That's perfect. And I always think about another thing that you already said about the team. Sometimes you have a not so good idea, but you have a great team. And then you can go further and you can grow and you can do your acceleration. You can do this kind, but it's the opposite. It's not true. If the team is not good, sometimes it's not worth to have a great idea. Correct, Fabio?
Correct. So because ideas are for free and ideas you can find in anywhere. So actually, in the end of the day, ideas, they don't really matter. What matters is like the people that you have behind and the capacity of the people to transform an idea in a practical solution. And then when you have a strong team, the investors will understand that might be not the best idea at that point, but that team will make it happen. They will be able to pivot and to change like a market or to change the business model or to change the idea to provide a better solution. So they understand that, so that team has the potential to make this problem happen. And there's a lot of like unicorns in the world that they started with one solution, and then on the first 1 or 2 rounds, they change totally the market or the solution that they are providing. They had like a strong team and they understood like, okay, we were doing something wrong. We need to change market, or you need to change our solution, or we need to change what we are doing. So it's important for you to choose well your team, because there's a survey from Harvard Business Review that says that the majority of the startups that die on the first year is actually because of the team. Or either they are not well equipped to tackle the problem, or they fight among each other. So it's key for you to have a strong team, and it's key for you to understand that you're gonna need to do some changes through the journey.
That's fantastic. Of course, with different skills, with different abilities and complementary ones, then probably you can scale up. Great. Yeah. Fabio, you gave us some hot tips, and I would like to ask you for the pitfalls. What you would not do in a pitch? What do you believe should be something that should not be great for your pitch?
As I said, like one of the things that I would not do in a pitch is first like starting with the solution, because I know this is a very naive mistake. So you have so much passion for your solution. You're in love with what you have developed that you want to start talking about your solution, and then you end up like using most of your time talking about your solution. But actually, the investors, they want to understand your vision, the problem, the market, so the business. So that's number one. Number two, the pitfalls is having too much slides. So I think people, they are kind of afraid of forgetting things, and they add like you have 5 minutes and you have like 20 slides with a lot of wording, a lot of bullets, and that's boring. And actually people will not be able to focus and to understand actually what you're trying to do. So that's another like big mistake, not having a short enough presentation. So people, they try to keep everything in slides, and then they need to rush, they need to run, and the investors or the audience will understand that. So that's another big problem. A third big problem is not practicing. I have seen a lot of people going for pitch presentation without having an idea of what they're doing. So you need to present to your father, your grandmother, your dog, your kid, your partner, your friends. So do it like 20 times before going out asking for money. Remember, you're talking to very high level people that have already watched like thousands of pitch. So anything that you're doing wrong, they're gonna focus on that and gonna say, this guy is not gonna be able to deliver. So just let's get rid of this, because you're gonna be running against competition. So there are other people presenting for that money. So they might say, okay, you just lost traction if you don't prepare yourself well. I think that's another big pitfall. Another big pitfall is not sending the presentation or the PDF upfront. I saw in the past many good like solutions and teams not being able to present because they get really anxious and nervous because their PDF is not being shared or the PowerPoint is not working, and then they need to present without having any guidance, and they lost it, correct? So you're nervous, you're not in a good spot, and then the environment is not even helping you. So you actually got really frustrated, and people will notice that. And that's potentially your one chance or shot. So you need to make the best use of that one. One thing that I don't like, and because I feel it's a little bit disruptive, is when you have like a 3 minutes or 5 minutes pitch deck and you have like 3 people presenting. Or one people present the solution, the other the problem, the other the business model. I think that's you lose the fluence of the presentation. You lose engagement, and it's actually, for investors, it seems that there's no one that is leading and overseeing all the operation. It means that you have like 5 or 6 different pieces. If you take one piece, like there's no one who will know what to do. So I would say one person needs to lead and to present, at least on that first meeting, the 3 minutes meeting. When you go for a longer, like second meeting, half an hour, 1 hour, then makes sense to have like different people. So one people with a better like technology background or artificial intelligence or healthcare or whatever. So then you can divide the presentation. But for the small 3 minutes one, it's boom, like you need to go, you need to make it happen. That's another great point that I have been learning in the past. And I think the last one that I would raise that is very important, it's 2 things: not being able to specifically report your market size and what are the opportunities. A lot of the times, many times I saw actually investors asking presenters like, oh, how big is the market and what is the percentage of the market that you think you can make it? And people would reply, oh, I'm not sure. I never thought about it. So this is the full market, but we don't know. I need to think more about it. And that's weird, correct? So you don't know what you're trying to achieve. That's number one. And the number 2, that is the last one, is not actually knowing what you're asking. And when you're asking why you're asking that amount of money or that like people support and why you need that. Sometimes I saw a presentation that a big investor said, okay, you're asking for $5,000 here, but imagine I have 1,500K and I can give to you now. What are you gonna do with that money? And the guy, I'm not sure. I don't know. I haven't thought about that. And the guy is saying, like, I'm giving the opportunity of your life. So what are you gonna do with this like $500,000? I'm offering you now. I need to discuss with my team and come back. So then, like they say, like they have no vision. They never thought about how big their company can become in 5, 10 years. And then they kind of like, they like people with vision. They like people like Elon Musk that like they dream big. They say, okay, you guys are trying to conquer your garden. I'm going to conquer Mars or the universe. So they actually, they like this kind of like long-term innovative vision.
Perfect, Fabio. Of course, I believe one of the beginner mistakes here should be to read your presentation, correct? Because you have to prepare, like you said, 20 times to present for everyone. If not, the evaluator will see that you are not so very well prepared, correct? I also, you have this you need that human skills, like you need to be a great seller. You need to sell something for someone. You have to convince that people that what you are doing, as you said, you have a vision, you have a proposal, you know the whys, not only how and what. You need something else in the background for that. Fabio, we are going to the end of our live here. I'd like to ask you for some recommendations, books, articles for our audience that they can go deep on this issue, Fabio.
Yeah, so like recommendation that I would say, it's you need to have discipline and you need to read every single day. So you open your mind for different subjects, for different learnings, and actually try to read something outside of your environment or expertise as well. This is going to open your mind. For me, that I'm an oncologist, usually lately what I'm being like, it's actually here because now I'm getting the printed version. I'm always reading like the MIT's own management review. So it's a magazine that comes to my house every month, and they have like special articles in many different topics, from pitch deck, from getting investment, from being on the business market, financial, healthcare. So it's a bunch of concepts there that you can learn. There's a lot of books. So people, if they want to like read books and they want to get like a better understanding or knowledge in a specific topic, I'm sure you can find a good book for that. I'm sure like I could give like 5 or 10 different recommendations here, but I'm happy to give recommendations if people say like, I want a book that will help me grow my business or start my business, or to get money, or to change my leadership skills or something like that. I'm actually more nowadays getting these practical readings. Like I actually like very much as well the Harvard Business Review. So I have the access to their website, and they're always like something new and something very interesting for me to learn.
That's perfect, Fabio. Yeah, as you said, you have to expand your mind, not to read only you are used to that you work, but different issues like financing, as marketing, strategies, social media. No, that's perfect, Fabio. Okay, would you like to make some final comments, Fabio? I would like to thank you very much. I learned a lot. I believe our audience also learned a lot. It's always a pleasure to speak with you. I hope when you come back in Brazil, we can see each other personally, because right now we have a lot of friendships that are virtual.
Oh yeah.
And I appreciate it when we can see each other. So thank you very, very much, Fabio. If you have some final considerations.
Oh, thank you. It was my pleasure to be here today and to try to share some knowledge with everyone. As I said on my second last slide, great pitch are really just great stories. So every single day is a good day to start your new history. So stop like giving excuse, because I know a lot of people will say, oh, I want to develop an online course, but I don't have like the best video camera, the camera that costs like $4,000, or I need to buy like a special LED light, or I need to have a special room. So just go after your dream, start like your project, and pivot from there. Do the MVP, and then after you go to the next step, after you go to the next step. But the most important thing is start doing. So saying is saying, doing is doing. So guys, go out and do.
That's perfect. Learn by doing. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay, Fabio. So have a great night, everyone. It was a great pleasure to have all you here. See you, Fabio.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Pronto, Fábio. Finalizei aqui.
Maravilha.